Alright, so if I make it to the other end, I win.
If you catch the other dude's king and trap it, then you win.
Alright, but if I make it to the end, I'm top dog.
Nah, yo, it ain't like that. Look, the pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
When Bodie makes a comment about a smart-ass pawn getting the other dude's king, in the moment we're led to believe that the smart-ass pawn Bodie is referring to is that of himself. However, we'll later learn that the player he's actually referring to is that of Slim Charles, who I'm going to come right out and say is the smartest character on The Wire, or at least the smartest character as far as the streets are concerned. Politicians like Norman Wilson might rank a little higher on the overall scale, but you get my point.
At least we know he's running one.
Slim Charles was hired by Avon Barksdale in Season 3 to replace some of the muscle the Barksdales lost in both Season 1 and 2. The likes of Weebay, Bird, Stinkham and Savino, all being put out of commission, left a hole in the organisation only the likes of Slim could fill.
Alright, listen, big man. You're about to earn your fucking keep around here right now.
Slim Charles is first introduced in the scene where Stringer Bell is trying to lecture his soldiers on the importance of product now being more valuable than territory. Stringer attempts to get across this ideology that so long as they have the best drugs, they need not worry about where they sell them. They'll simply bring in the competition by
offering the re-up with us from our package. Feel me? Everybody making money sharing the real estate.
Slim Charles raises a concern and he questions Stringer, asking what they're going to do if the other dealers don't want nothing to do with their product. Stringer brushes off the concern, and 2 episodes later an entire corner is put out of commission as a rival gangster does exactly what Slim theorised somebody would do. In only 3 episodes, Slim Charles has already proven himself to have a far better understanding of the game than the likes of Stringer.
Man, all this theorizing about how it be product, not territory. You can't talk that shit if a nigga snatching all of the territory and won't take none of your product.
A few episodes later, Slim Charles plants Gerard and Sapper outside the house of Omar Little's granny. Now it's important to note that when Avon Barksdale came to Slim wanting him to go at Omar all whilst warring with Marlo, Slim, same as Chris Partlow in a later season, makes a wise suggestion of leaving Omar be.
You sure you want us on Marlo and Omar both? I mean, Omar ain't come back on us since we got his bitch.
On a Sunday morning, Slim receives a call from the 2 planted outside Omar's grannies. Slim doesn't answer the phone. The 2 then call Stringer Bell and they tell Stringer that they've got their sights on Omar and ask whether or not they can take the shot. You know, it being a Sunday and all, they're going to want permission to break the Sunday truce. Stringer gives the 2 the green light and soon after, all chaos erupts. The Barksdales have broken a sacred rule of the game, Avon's reputation is in the toilet, and the Barksdales are now having to war with both Marlo and Omar. If only Avon had taken Slim's advice, none of this would have come to be. Omar even confesses that he was going to leave the Barksdales be after what had happened to Tosha a few episodes prior.
Y'all know I was gonna walk away, right? Y'all know that, right? I mean, after Tosha, I was gonna leave them people be, yo.
Avon home now.
Oh, Barksdale got to go. Stringer too. This ain't got to end, man.
After getting rain made by Clay Davis, Stringer Bell, in another attempt to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, orders Slim Charles to take out Clay. Stringer hopes to both get revenge on Clay, and also get Slim arrested so Stringer can go back to being Avon's right-hand man. We all, however, remember how this played out when Stringer tried to use Omar Little to get rid of Brother Mouzone.
What'd he go by? Brother Mouzone?
Shit! Oh, God!
Anyway, Slim Charles being leagues above Stringer when it comes to not only understanding the game, but also being able to play it, sees right through Stringer Bell's little plot.
This string murder ain't no thing. But this here's some assassination shit,
I tell
man.
you getting somebody, you getting them. I ain't asking.
Damn, String, I don't know.
Nigga.
After the death of Stringer Bell, Avon struggles to find the motivation to carry on his war with Marlo. He even goes as far as to question everything he believes in regarding being a gangster and spending his life fighting for corners. Slim Charles, in an effort to rally the base, tells Avon that it doesn't matter what he now does or doesn't believe in. The organisation is at war, and if what they're fighting for is a lie, then so be it.
Then we fight on that lie. But we gotta fight.
Slim Charles, similar to the Americans in Iraq, understood that in order to win a war you need motivated soldiers who believe they're fighting for something worth taking a bullet for. For example, avenging your leader in Stringer Bell, even if Marlo wasn't the one who killed him. Or in the case of the Iraq War, saving the West by stopping Saddam Hussein, even though he never had any weapons of mass destruction. Dare I say that Slim Charles has proven himself a more fitting leader than Avon Barksdale. After the downfall of the Barksdales, Slim Charles makes a wise decision to jump to the ship of Proposition Joe. Bodie, however, a former associate of Slim's, makes a questionable decision of going solo. The inevitable arises and Marlo punks Bodie for his corner, leaving him with little choice but to now work under Marlo. Slim attempts to give Bodie advice on how to deal with his predicament. Bodie, filled with rage, however, doesn't want to hear it, and this single decision, I would argue, served to be the beginning of the end for Bodie. Now, Slim's advice, I believe, was going to go something like this. Kings come and kings go. Under Marlo, you're more than likely going to see and maybe even do a lot of things you don't want to do. But be flexible. Bide your time even if it means working for the person you hate. People like Marlo don't last, and so long as you keep your head down, you'll be back to business in no time. Tragically, Bodie didn't want to hear this, and I think we all missed out on what could have been some great life advice.
But if you want my advice,
I don't, man. I don't.
Bodie. Yo, Bodie.
After Omar Little robs a co-op's resupply, Proposition Joe offers Marlo a meet with his connects so to prove to Marlo that Joe had nothing to do with the robbery. Slim Charles warns Joe that organising this meet could result in Marlo going round the co-op and taking from them the one thing that's realistically keeping Joe afloat. And like with the whole product territory dispute we went over earlier, Slim's concern wound up coming to be as Marlo did exactly what Slim theorised he would do. And like Stringer and Bodie, Proposition Joe didn't want to take Slim's advice, and such resulted in a bullet to the dome.
Boss, you get that boy Marlo a line on our connect. He might try to go around the co-op. Go around us. You know what I'm saying?
Cautious as those Greeks be, who you think they gonna trust? But my supply, the good dope.
The Greeks, they cool with it.
Slim Charles even gives Joe advice identical to the advice Norman gave Carcetti when Marlo tried to stir in the pot at one of the co-op's meetings. He tells Joe to not sleep on Marlo as despite Slim not knowing exactly what game Marlo is trying to play, they still need to be cautious of the fact that he's trying to play one. Norman tells Carcetti the exact same when Clay Davis attempts to play games with them in the mayor's office, despite Norman, similar to Slim, not knowing exactly what game that is. And as mentioned in the beginning of the video, Norman, although you might not suspect it, was one of the smartest and sneakiest players on the show.
He's slick. Apologizes for the short con, and in the next breath setting us up for the law.
Break down
Don't
in the new
sleep on
territory
Marlo.
anyway. I mean, that's the first thing
He
we
up
need
to
to
some
figure
shit
out.
here.
After the death of Proposition Joe, Marlo Stanfield offers Slim a promotion in the form of taking over Hungry Man's territory. Slim politely declines the offer by telling Marlo that he isn't cut out to play the role of CEO.
Slim, I want you to take over Hungry Man's slice of the cake.
Meaning no disrespect, but I ain't cut out to be no CEO.
Now Slim actually tells Marlo this not because he isn't cut out for the role, but rather Slim doesn't want to be dragged into Marlo's inner orbit. You see, Slim can tell when a ship is sinking. He learnt such when watching Stringer Bell make careless decision after careless decision in Season 3. And so for Slim to pull a cheese and just jump aboard would be suicide. This was proven only 3 episodes later when Marlo's entire crew was arrested. To put it plainly, Slim took the advice he would have gave Bodie and bided his time for as long as possible, as he awaited Marlo's downfall. After Marlo Stanfield is arrested, he offers the co-op his newly acquired Connect for the price of $10 million. The co-op scramble to get the money only to find themselves 900,000 short. Cheese tells the crew not to worry as he could cover it. Cheese then pulls a gun on Fat-Faced Rick as Rick, for whatever reason, begins reminiscing about the so-called good old days working under Joe. These good old days he speaks of, by the way, clearly happened off-screen because I don't ever remember any day ever being good. Anyway, Cheese monologues about how there is no back in the day, which is one of few times on the show where Cheese actually speaks some sense.
There ain't no back in the day, nigga. Ain't no nostalgia to this shit here.
After Cheese is done speaking, Slim Charles pops a bullet in the side of Cheese's head. Slim tells the co-op that he killed Cheese for Joe, as don't forget Joe warned Slim that if Cheese were to betray them, he'd soon show off the money he was paid to do so, and such was the 900k Cheese spoke of.
Now, knowing my sister's son the way I do, if the boy got 50 grand in his pocket, it ain't gonna be long before it jump out and find itself in some salesman's hand. And that kind of glitter we know.
Slim Charles, however, didn't kill Cheese solely for reasons of sentiment. Rather, he killed Cheese because Cheese was the only wild card left at the table. I mean, Cheese was already pointing a gun at another member of the co-op before they even had the connect, and so to keep Cheese around would only mean problems in the future. And such is why Slim killed Cheese. Eliminate the cancer before it spreads and eliminates you. Come the end of the show, Slim Charles alongside Fat-Faced Rick is seen meeting with the Connect, and upon watching this scene a single question came to mind. How would Slim Charles do as king? And I honestly believe that there's a near objective answer to this question, that being far better than the 4 kings who came before him. I mean, think about it. Where Stringer Bell lacked a clear understanding of the game, Slim Charles did not. Where Avon Barksdale allowed the likes of Stringer to throw the organisation into a state of disarray, Slim has already removed that problem by removing Cheese. Where Proposition Joe failed to understand the importance of keeping your connection a secret, Slim Charles has proven the opposite. And where Marlo Stanfield failed to realise that to be a good leader you also have to be liked instead of just feared, well, Slim Charles has proven to be a pretty likeable guy to both the players in the castle and on the street. It's safe to say that Slim was without question the smart-ass porn Bodie was referring to at the beginning of the video.